Welcome. Today's webinar, we're going to do a quick hit on top trends for hospitality digital marketing and things to be thinking about as you're planning your budgets for 2025. Your speakers today, my name is Tammy Carlisle. I am AVP of Sales for Hospitality for Milestone, and I am joined by my illustrious colleague and dear friend, Craig Carbonell, who is also AVP of Sales for Hospitality. So the two of us together have over 25 years of experience just at Milestone. We're dinosaurs, and probably about 40 plus years in hospitality and marketing and digital. So not to say we know everything, because we definitely don't, but we've got some decent insights.
You're aging
Obviously,
me, Tammy. You started when you were two, so I know a lot of that is pointing my direction.
I
Thanks
got
for
a few
that.
years on you, so anyway. So a couple caveats before we get started. Webinar's being recorded. Please put comments, questions, et cetera, in the chat. We'll try and answer those at the end. We've slated about 30 minutes for the webinar. We'll try and leave a couple minutes at the end for questions. With that in mind, 30 minutes does not give us a lot of time. We're obviously not going to go through every single budget item you should be planning for, but hopefully these will give you things to think about. How we're going to structure this is I'm going to start, read through a bullet list. I'm going to start with some high-level overviews of trends and things that you should be mindful of. And some of these are based on a recent ebook we did with HSMAI and Dorothy Dowling. And then Craig's going to show you basically, I don't want to say a case study, but kind of like how those things, planning and putting that in your budget, make successful results, and also share a tool that we've used internally here for years when we're talking to customers to help them with budget planning, and kind of an Excel sheet and overview that has a lot of different components and categories and things that, you might go, oh, I never thought about XYZ. So that's really the goal and the objective for today. Welcome aboard. Again, it's being recorded. The webinar will be shared with everyone on the call, as well as anybody who signed up who wasn't able to attend. We typically will put a recap on our blog. We'll have the deck, the links, all of the things that you need. So while I'm thrilled that you're probably taking copious notes, don't panic if you miss something. You'll be able to catch it in the replay. With that in mind, just really quick. So as I mentioned, Craig and I have a lot of experience. We've done this for a long time. So has Milestone. Milestone's actually been around for over 25 years. So I think we started in Google, like around the same time period. Our headquarters are in Silicon Valley. Both Craig and I are Californians, although the southern part of the state, for those of you who don't know, I moved down here last year. I was a Bay Area native. And we work with well over 2,000 customers. As you can see, we win a lot of awards. I'm most proud of our Adrian Award, our President's Award for HSMAI. And really what we do and what we're going to focus on today when we're talking about things for budgeting is how do you get, more visitors top of funnel to your website? How do you drive more visibility to your hotel and not just for XYZ brand? And then how do you get those customers to enjoy the experience and what they find on your website to the point that they actually want to convert and book? And that could be a reservation. That could be an open table reservation for your dining outlet. That could be a spa appointment. That could be filling out an RFP for meeting space, right? There's a lot of different things that define conversion. And so you want to be thinking about that when you're doing your budgets. We're working with a lot of different folks in the hospitality industry, with most of the major brands out there, hotel owners, management companies, and you'll notice we've even expanded outside of hospitality, although Craig and I are both hospitality, and that's what we love because you guys are amazing. Hospitality's in our blood. But what's cool about working outside of hospitality is getting to kind of see some tips and tricks and ideas and applying that back in, and we've had great success there. So on that note, I'm going to start and talk a little bit about trends. Now, we published an ebook recently that has a lot of different trends. I got 30 minutes. I'm not going to talk through 10 trends. We'll be here. Poor Craig won't get to speak, and you want to hear Craig speak. So I'm going to focus on a few of the ones that are colored on this list. There are some others. We'll give you links to download the ebook at the end if you want it. But I really want to focus today when we're thinking budgets. I'm going to talk a lot about AI because no one's really talking about AI. Kidding. Um, and we're thinking of AI. I've seen a lot of hotels thinking about AI in terms of how it can help them operationally, and that's very important, right? Like, can we use AI to make it easier to check in a guest or make it easier to run operations on property? And all of those things are super important, and you should actually be thinking about that. But we're really focused today on, as marketers, where should you be focusing your dollars and market, to be successful in marketing your hotel? And one of the trends, one of the big things you have to be mindful of is AI search and how that's going to impact your brand, your hotel. And when I say brand, I'm not necessarily talking about the big, your hotel, even if you're an independent small hotel, that's your brand, right? And so what we're seeing is Google's new AI overviews, it's just changing how our consumers are getting information. It's giving an opportunity for you as a hotelier to make sure you've got a great presence and you're showing up when people are searching, when people are looking at conversations. And then to make sure you have the right technology to help get visibility in AI search. So we're seeing a lot, content. I'll talk a little bit about this, but FAQs, making sure that your Google business profile is well optimized, making sure you have the right technology and schema and structured data on your site to help. So AI overviews, and you may have heard of Search Generative Experience. That was Google's original experiment that they started last year. It was experimental, and then they changed it to AI overviews, and it rolled out on May 14th. And what we're seeing in the US, and again, we're talking US, global is still rolling out, but certain searches, you're actually going to see a very different look feel than the old 10 blue links or the 7 map pack or the 3 map, whatever. And the idea is Google's actually trying to, as we say, do the Googling for you, right? Hey, let's find the relevant information. Let's pull it all together and help with that research and planning on that guest's behalf. So I always like to tell people, think about this, even if you're doing a branded search like, is XYZ hotel pet friendly? You want the answer that Google is surfacing to come from your hotel, not from bringfido.com, booking.com, pet friendly or dog friendly.com, right? Like, you want to make sure you've got the most relevant information so that Google's surfacing that. We've seen, especially on the restaurant front, organized search result pages, and we think that's going to expand in other areas of hospitality and other businesses as well. We're seeing a lot more personalization. So what I see versus what Craig sees may be slightly different based on our previous history and our likes. And you may have heard, I actually did something for HSMA about 4 years ago on marketing in a zero-click world, but we actually do expect traffic to drop somewhat to your website as, hey, I got the answer I need here. I don't need to go to the website. Now, if that's just someone trying to find your address, your basic information, no harm, no foul, right? But we want to make sure that the people who want to book get to your site. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to book you. Now, there are some concerns today about accuracy. I don't know if anyone's seen the great pizza AI debate. If your dough isn't sticky enough, Google did say at one point that they pulled it from a Reddit sarcastic post, that you could add, I think it was a quarter cup of non-toxic glue. I don't know about you, not my favorite edible, but hey, that's odd. AI accuracy concerns will get better over time. But it's not perfect today. I'll just say that. Now, I want to share, Craig is going to talk about an actual live example of how AI is being used to find hotels. So take it
Yeah,
away, Craig.
thanks, Tammy. Yeah, this was fun. So this was me the other night. This is my screen. Dreadhead Derek, I have no association with, but I found him on Instagram because he takes these amazing photos, specifically like travel photos, destination type photos. And so one of the goals for our family is to decorate our home with photos of our kids in different locations. And we're traveling to those locations to take some of those photos. So I'm gaining inspiration from dreadhead_Derek. Tell him I sent you. I don't know if that's going to change anything. As I scrolled through his feed, again, beautiful images. Although this image in particular caught my attention. So this is an example of multimodal search. I'm actually using Google's circle to search and saying, where is this? Right? Again, I want to go to those locations. I want to travel to those destinations. Interestingly enough, it's actually a nearby property. It's Terranea Resort. Um, their address is listed here in AI overviews, as well as a link to their website. So now I can learn everything about this particular property. I can book my hotel reservation and experience that now with my family, taking a photo of that beautiful beach shot. I'm so excited to stay with them.
That's awesome, Craig. Yeah, and I love, guys, you may think that, but image search, AI, these things are really going to make an impact. So I would say, do you have great images? Do you have, do you have the right components and things so that when that guest is searching for that photo or that information, they're going to find you and not your competitors and not again, a booking.com or other type sites. No offense to booking.com, they're great partners, right? But we want to drive as much business direct as possible. So again, no one's talking about AI. Kidding. AI really is going to be, I mean, if you think about disruptors, right? You think about television, you think about the cell phone, and of course that, I'm biased, the iPhone. You think about the internet. I still remember I was working for a CVB. We launched a website, and our CEO was at a conference where two other people said, "Why did you waste your money on a website? That's a passing fad. It's going to be gone in no time." They were wrong. Spoiler alert. For those of you that don't think AI is going to catch on, like AI has been around for a while. It's just finally gotten to a place where it's a big deal. It's just like for years we heard this is the year of mobile, and it was about, I think, 4 years of this is the year of mobile before it was finally like, ooh, okay, everything's mobile. So there's a lot of things with AI. Obviously, you can enhance your productivity, reduce costs, boost your creativity. There's AI for content generation. There's AI, we're seeing agents. We're playing around with some things where all the content and information on your website can be run through a learning language model so as a guest, I could ask questions and get those answers right away. Not like a chat bot per se, but where it's actually learning from your site. There's a lot of customer service applications. You really be thinking about how can you do things that may cost a little bit now, but are going to be so efficient for you in the long run. Speaking of content, like there's so many different types of content, right? Like, how do you keep up? I've got to do this Facebook post, this LinkedIn post, this email offer, this thing. And content isn't just words, right? It's that beautiful image of the beach. I can't wait to see thing one and thing two, in the beach picture, right? That's gonna be amazing. But there's all these different types of content, and there's lots of tools out there, including one that Milestone has, that will let you use AI both from a generation standpoint and also from the intelligence piece, right? What should you be talking about? Because I don't know if you've noticed, I can talk for a pretty long time, but am I talking about the right things? Am I talking about things that matter and are going to move the needle? Do you really care if you get 1 million visitors to your site if nobody books a reservation? So you want to find, what should I be talking about to drive traffic that's going to move the needle? If you have the most beautiful site in the world, nobody can find it. Do you really care? So think about these things and make sure that you're budgeting for good photography, video assets where it makes sense, different types of content, tools that will help make your life easier. And again, we're seeing all these different agents for hospitality because, concierge agents, booking agents, post it, sales agents to kind of re-engage or to upsell. There's all these different types of things that you should be thinking about. The other thing is personalization. How can you personalize the experience? How can you tie in either with your CRM or with, based on browsing behavior? That guest was looking at a bunch of wedding pages. How can I customize and personalize my website so that that particular guest sees more wedding information on the homepage? This guest clicked on a family package offer. You want to show them throughout the site images of families having fun, not the romantic couple by the spa. They're interested in family getaways, right? So all of those personalization aspects can really help. We're seeing like double the conversion rates when we're doing personalization. And so huge opportunity for conversion increases for you. Be mindful of that, making sure you're looking at options and how you're going to help the property again continue to grow. And then I want to, group bookings. What are you doing on your websites? What are you doing in your marketing to help make sure you're driving as much group business as possible? And if you don't have meeting space, this could be, a 20-room group coming from the university. I used to have tons of sport teams when I was on the hotel side because I made good connections. I had good presence on the website, like all of those things. Ancillary revenue. I've noticed in the last few years, this has become a bigger area of focus. Rooms revenue is typically number one, right? Because that's usually your biggest chunk, not always, but revenue around restaurants, around outlets, around, what other things can you do, golf, etc., to drive additional revenue to the property. These types of things are going to really help you drive your overall revenue. So just some things to think about. There's obviously a ton more. We don't have time today. Happy to talk more about it, but I'm going to turn it over to my dear colleague, Craig, to talk about, just give you an example and show you some things on the budget side. So Craig, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. So as Tammy said, I'm going to talk about an experience of a hotelier using some of these trends that we've shared and maybe a few others found in the ebook. Make sure you download that to actually improve performance and to shift market share. So for those of you in Southern California with Tammy and I, you may be familiar with Terranea. Spoiler alert, that was the experience that I had earlier on today's presentation, the AI overview, which led me to Terranea. But talking through like some of the things that they looked at when evaluating their digital presence and budgeting for success. This is a 500-room property. They have a lot of meeting space. They do a great deal of groups, but specifically they were looking to, one, build awareness. They are not centrally located in Los Angeles. They're actually along the coast. So making sure of where they're located. And two is drive conversions not only to their resort, but some of their different outlets. They have a golf course, they have a spa. So they evaluated Milestone's content management system. And I think without my Milestone hat on, a lot of that was really due to the things that Tammy had shared in really taking advantage of all of those things that are trends that, quite honestly, any property, and specifically here with Terranea, could actually benefit from. So what did that represent for them? So again, their goals were to drive awareness, but just like I'm sure most of you, it's tied to revenue, right? And we want to drive more bookings. So they did partner with Milestone. They increased their traffic by over 20% during, quite honestly, a time where I think most of us are starting to realize maybe some slowdown from that revenge travel, right? So that is something that we're all impacted by. So seeing an increase here is significant. They saw an increase of almost 11% in bookings. But on the revenue side, I was excited to celebrate with this team over a 16% increase in revenue, right? And so going through that exercise that Tammy outlined really allowed their team to understand, where are the opportunities today, and what are some things that we can realistically leverage and see benefits with. And so that brings us to the next part of today's webinar, which is budget planning. So as Tammy mentioned, we use this particular tool internally and with our clients to start to plan for budget season. I know for most of us, we're knee deep in that right now. Maybe first drafts due this Friday. I saw a LinkedIn post. I got a chuckle. I know that's the case for a lot of us. But we'll share this link with you after today's presentation. But I'm going to freestyle for a moment. What I love about this tool is there's two tabs in the Excel worksheet. One is really a scorecard. Be honest, where do you stand today? And where are the areas that you need to improve in, right? Are there gaps that you'd like to fill? And I'll get to that in just a moment, but just know, there's no wrong answer or there's no right answer. It's just evaluating where you stand today. In the next tab, though, this is then filling in those gaps. What I love about this sheet is it starts to bucket these things. So as we know, we have a marketing line item that I'm sure can be separated, can be divvied up in a number of ways. But what you'll notice is we have a section for website, we have a section for organic search, we have a section for paid search, social media, email marketing, analytics. But and Tammy can touch on this too. I loved just kind of adjusting this per the needs of the property and maybe assigning value in areas that they may see more success with. The total budget may stay the same, right? But honestly, shifting some of that might mean either one, saving cost, or two, being more effective in driving more sustainable type of business, maybe more organic in nature. What I'm going to do is go back to the presentation because I didn't mention this. I know this process is daunting. I've been through it and Tammy's been through it before. This QR code on the right is to book a consultation with me or Tammy to really answer your questions, right? Do you have any best practices that you're seeing in the industry for addressing the opportunities that Tammy mentioned? This is completely free. There's no expectation, but you can really learn either one, where can you cut costs, or two, where can you be more effective? That leads us now to our key takeaways. I think Tammy's section was so exciting because while we've probably heard a lot about AI, the idea of including the guest in that journey, as with my experience, I think is a very exciting opportunity, right? It's important to be discovered. And so what is driving a lot of that is the website technology, things like technical SEO with schema, helpful content, as Tammy mentioned, optimizing your local profiles. AI, if we're being honest, though, AI is probably the biggest disruptor certainly our lifetimes. And so the answer is adoption and testing, not shying away from some of these technologies. So things like AI for content generation and marketing. Tammy had mentioned a tool which is super helpful with understanding how people are searching and what are some popular topics. The AI agents is exciting with chatbots and leveraging large language models to bring in responses. Personalization, I know for me, the conversion benefits of that is significant, and something that if I were in your shoes, I would certainly want to evaluate and take advantage of. Just as a reminder, your direct channel is your home, right? It is for guests, but it's also for planners. Revisiting that experience to submit an RFP is an important process to do now, this time, because if you need to change that, if you need to add resources, you can do so during budget season. Your ancillary revenue, as we saw in the case of Terranea, that was an exciting opportunity to drive more awareness and revenue to their outlets. And I think during budget season, it's a time to reach out for help, right? And so please take advantage of that opportunity to consult with either Tammy or I. I think we may be able to add a different perspective and find opportunities that maybe you're not considering that you can hopefully implement in 2025, but it may continue to guide you. A couple commercials at the end here. We are hosting a webinar with the brilliant Dorothy Dowley moderating a panel that includes the Sojourn Chief Product Officer and the Milestone Chief Product Officer. This is on budgeting and forecasting, specifically in this era of AI, and what are the specific opportunities you should be considering as you enter and as you submit your budgets. The QR code on the right, I'll give you a second. This is to register for this webinar. It's completely complimentary. As Tammy mentioned, if you're not able to attend, by registering, you get a recording of the webinar. And then the ebook that we keep mentioning, that the property that we highlight and others are mentioned in the ebook, along with the trends and things to consider, is listed here. This is the QR code. As we share the presentation, you'll have the link as well. I think we have just a couple minutes, so let me see if we received any questions. If you do have any questions, now is a perfect time to leave those in the chat. If not, totally respect and recognize that you are busy. So if we can give you maybe 1 minute back of your day, I'm sure that's completely fine. Tammy, anything to end with?
No, I think you did a great job. Maybe because I don't have the actual link, if you could go back to the webinar just page just quickly. If you guys have not heard Dorothy, Kurt, or Satya speak, talk about three brilliant minds in one place. Now, if Dorothy was also a chief product officer, I would make a joke about having 3 CPOs, Star Wars fans. But Kurt and Satya, brilliant product minds. And Dorothy, anybody that knows Dorothy knows there's very few people in the industry that know more about hospitality marketing. Just brilliant. And so this is going to be another really exciting area talking about forecasting, more in depth on budgeting. The reason Craig and I wanted to get something out here now is we know a lot of you are working on budgets right now and they're due right now. And so just really getting that in. And then to Craig's point, happy to talk with you guys, happy to share, look at what you're doing and what you're budgeting and make some recommendations on where you can shift dollars. Not necessarily, let's be real, we're in CEO. Yeah, you can always spend more, but the number, Craig, shoot, I can't even count anymore the number of properties we've worked with where we didn't increase their budget one dime. In fact, in some cases, we've lowered it because they were spending a lot of money in categories that frankly weren't smart. I'm just going to say it. And by working with them to say, look, let's shift some dollars here, maybe lower this expense a little bit here, shift some dollars here. Not only are you going to get a better overall presence, ultimately it leads to better revenue, right? So if you can think about it, ownerships oftentimes look at marketing as the expense. They don't think about the revenue generation. They do, but not in real terms. It's always budget season. Like, how do we cut expense? But if you can keep your expenses flat or down and generate more revenue, you're a hero. And so if we can help you do that, if we can talk about ways that you may be able to see more results for your hotels, happy to do it.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. I know this process is extremely fun. We love to share our knowledge, and hopefully you can benefit from this in one of your drafts. So good luck, everyone. Thanks for your time today.
Hey, Craig, we
Yep.
actually did get one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's a great one. Milestone success was always based on organic search. How has AI changed organic search? And I think if you go back and you look at the AI overviews slide or look at, even what Craig had done, I think the changes AI, organic search is all, people talk all the time about SEO being dead. I think it's more important now than ever. It's just AI is helping the search engines to enhance what they do. And so it's even more important to make sure you have good quality information on your site, that you have the right images, that you have the right details and built in a way that the search engines can read so that when they're doing, pulling together that information that they're going to show you on that search page, it's your information from you, not from a third party source. The other thing too, I do think over time, you're going to see some drop in overall organic traffic just because more people are getting the answer they need on that search page and aren't coming to your site. We haven't yet seen a depreciable decline in revenue because, I don't want to say you can't book on a search page because you can use Meta. And I mean, there are ways, but those people are doing that anyway. I don't think AI is changing that, at least not today. It'll be really interesting to see what the next year or two brings. I feel like it's already evolved quite a bit. But from our perspective, this is just the next AI in search is the next step from an SEO perspective. And to your point, our success has always been based on organic search. And I think we're well poised to help as AI search and AI overviews become more important. Not to tout our horn, but I'm touting our horn.
Great point. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks for catching that. The other thing I would add too, you'll notice in that AI overviews as you go through the material again, as it stands today, there are no ads in that experience. So to Tammy's point, maybe the growing need for helpful content is important. So one of the takeaways here, I would definitely plan to budget for some type of Gen AI solution to help you in producing content. The exciting part is that it can certainly bring efficiency, especially if you are hiring or using consultants for content writers and things like that. It definitely represents an efficiency, exciting opportunity.
How do you budget for organic versus PPC? That's a whole that'll take a while. But the short term is, I'm a firm believer that you need to make sure that you're doing things for organic, for SEO, to make sure you're driving as much visibility to the site as possible, right? First of all, it's free traffic, and I say free in air quotes because obviously you're probably paying to do some things to get to that point. But unlike paid marketing, where, if there's a pandemic and you shut off paid marketing and that's all you've been doing, you disappear. Or anytime you shut off paid marketing, you disappear. Whereas with SEO, you're building that relevancy over time. And even if you have to shrink or decline for a little bit, in your dollars, you still have that relevancy. It's a slower burn. So it's a complicated answer because it really depends. Like, what's the hotel like? What's the market like? What's the competition like? So I can't give a blanket answer. Craig, I would love if you, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but I think that's why Craig and I said, hey, we were happy to do some consultations because it's so varied. Like, we even talked about like creating a sample budget worksheet. But again, are you a 500-room big box in San Francisco or a 100-room independent, quirky type property in Iowa or a Terranea resort, right? You have a very different budget strategy and focus. And so we didn't want to put anything together that was so generic that it really wouldn't work for the broad application. So happy to Kirk, happy to chat with you if you want to talk about a specific property or a specific group and how we would do that.
Yeah, I'd agree, Tammy. Take advantage of this consultation. I know we're all limited with resources this time of year, specifically time, but we would love to help. And so, yeah, would love to speak about those opportunities that may be unique to your properties, but absolutely. Thank you for your question. We appreciate it. Okay, well, thank you for your time, everyone. Happy budget season. Please let us know if we could be of any help.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.